Hello everybody, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans, and welcome to the Round 5 preview. North Melbourne taking on the Gold Coast Suns in the third edition of Gather Round. We play in the Barossa Valley on Saturday afternoon at 12 o'clock kickoff, and I don't think you can underestimate the weight that is on the North Melbourne Football Club heading into this game, given the result at Marvel Stadium against the Swans last weekend. I think there is immense pressure building around the club, and for the first time, maybe in quite some time, it is absolutely warranted. I am very much ready to go again. I have processed the loss from the weekend, and thank you so much to everyone that watched the review and sent in some kind words of support. I definitely needed it in the couple of days following that loss, but I've processed it and my eyes are firmly fixated on this weekend, Gather Round. We haven't won a game at Gather Round. We've played Brisbane the last 2 seasons, and I think a lot of us looking at this fixture initially would have thought that this is one we definitely could win and maybe was a kind of fixture to us. But season 2025 has followed a different script. While we have looked like an improved North Melbourne side, the Suns look equally, if not much more improved than us, also snagging a couple of wins away from home. They definitely look like they've got one of the best midfields in the competition at the moment, and I think there's going to be a massive duel in the center of the ground for this one. And I think on form, a lot of people probably expect the Suns to just wipe the floor, wipe the Barossa Valley with North Melbourne and send us back home. But I would like to think that on the back of the performance we put in against the Suns in a half of football last weekend, that we will absolutely stand up. And not only will we respond this week, but we will respond in weeks to come. And that's something I touched on in my review of that game last week. We probably had quite a few credits in the bank heading into that round 4 clash. And in a half of football, it very quickly evaporated. It was almost like a 1 step forward, 2 step back sort of thing. We might look back on the end of the season at that game on Saturday night at Marvel and think that was just an outlier in our season. And I really hope that is the case. Every club has them. Some losses and some slip-ups are greater than others. But the Swans last year lost a game to Port Adelaide by over 100 points later on in the season and still went on to win the minor premiership and make another grand final. So look, I don't know if that's exactly the trajectory that we'll be heading in this season, but that game that we saw at Marvel Stadium last weekend very well may be an outlier for our season, and I really hope, like I said, that is the case. It would be a shame if we were unable to recapture some of the form that we had found over the past few weeks, particularly that game against the D's. But we do have a few issues that we need to fix. A few of those I want to talk about now. There's also a couple of little hiccups at the selection table, but I think after that loss on the weekend, there's probably a lot of room for improvement. Let's just dive straight into all of it. One thing about the Gold Coast Suns and North Melbourne is that they often are quite interesting clashes. The past few seasons would show that games played for the Suns at home, so be it either on the Gold Coast or in Darwin as well, the Suns have very much been able to make the most of those opportunities and bring home wins in front of a home crowd. But away from home, it's been a different story. Famously, we beat the Suns in Tasmania at the end of 2023. We also beat them at home at Marvel Stadium last season as well. In that second half purple patch that we had, it was one of the 3 wins that we were able to secure late last year. It has been one of a few fixtures I think I've gone into in recent seasons thinking, yep, this is a real opportunity for us to get a win. The Suns away from home. Like I said, at home, they seem to just completely dominate. They seem to rule the roost, and they actually usually have quite comprehensive victories against us. But away from home, and I know this is a new look Suns outfit this season, but away from home, we seem to be able to catch them. We have won our last few games against them here at home, but neutral territory now over in Gather Round land, and over in the Barossa Valley, I'm not quite sure what to expect. I would like to think that we are going to absolutely throw everything we have at the Suns, and from a North Melbourne fan perspective, that's exactly what I want us to do. I want us to show no mercy. I want us to get physical. I want us to get angry. I want us to just do everything we can to respond. It's hard to sit here and, unless we win the game, it's probably, I don't know if failure is the right word, but unless we put in a match-winning performance I think that's probably the way to frame it. Unless we put in a match-winning performance to back up what we saw at Marvel Stadium last weekend, then I think even more questions and even more pressure will mount. But if a match-winning performance by North Melbourne is still outclassed and beaten by the Suns, then maybe we will just need to concede defeat. However, a match-winning performance, we do know when we do turn it on and we do move the ball quickly and we do play our best North ball, it's just about unstoppable. Speaking of ball movement, it is something that I did touch on in my review, that we just look quite slow and stagnant, and it seems like a lot of hard work for us to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other. I understand maybe our skills aren't quite there and we just want to do everything we can to control the football, but a lot of chip kicking around the back 50-meter line, it's tiring and it is not really benefiting us in play or on the scoreboard. Daniel Hoyne of SEN said on air, I think it was today, it's Wednesday when I'm filming this, said earlier today that North, according to Champion Data, are the second slowest team to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other. Yeah, we are slow. And I did point this out in my review, and it's something that's just stood out to me. We don't really seem to move the ball with any urgency. Doesn't seem to be a lot of options presenting at the ball. And I think for someone like Caleb Daniel, who's come across from the Bulldogs, I think that's really a hard adjustment for him to make. He is probably so used to working with the likes of a Bontempelli or a Treloar or a Libba or a McRae when he was there, constantly on the move, constantly presenting at the football, whereas maybe he hasn't built that synergy with our midfielders yet, and in turn our midfielders haven't been used to presenting at the ball and working for him. We don't really work for each other, and while I think that we are quite united, and this is something I did touch on in my review as well, the end of my review last week, I think as a club and as a whole we are one. We definitely do look like a very united playing group, and that definitely flows to the coaching staff as well, but on field maybe we do look a little bit disjointed. So for me, I just want us to bring the ball back to basics. Maybe we do need a bit of chaos ball. Maybe we do just need a bit of frenetic pace and energy about it, just to kind of add a little bit of energy and excitement and urgency with our ball use, and hopefully in turn we'll be able to move the ball down the ground a lot quicker. It's just hard to know what we're going to be able to deliver and if we are going to be able to withstand and step up to and respond to the pressure and the questions that have been put on us as someone sitting at home this weekend. It's going to be an interesting watch, and I think it's going to be something that, like I said, I just want to know that North is putting their best football on the park, and I trust that that best football is going to be able to, if not win us the game, then really push the Suns for 4 quarters. I don't want us to get overwhelmed. I don't want us to get knocked down. I want us to get back up again and just give it all we've got. At the selection table, it's going to be really interesting to see what we do. Unfortunately, Jackson Archer, he was meant to return this week from suspension. However, he has suffered a minor hamstring strain, so he won't be available for selection at Gather Round. So potentially Darcy Tucker lives to see another day. I really think, and I've said this again in my review last week, I thought he was one of our best on the weekend. He definitely played what I thought was his best game for North Melbourne. Potentially Riley Hardiman will get a spot. Maybe we'll see him for the full 4 quarters of footy as well. I don't know what the go is at Griffin Logue. He did look a little bit proppy and didn't play a whole heap of game time against the Swans on Saturday night. So whether we go with him again, look, if he's up for it, I'd be keen to keep him in there. But if not, then potentially Toby Pink gets recalled. One man, however, that will be available for selection is George Wardlaw. Not only did he make it through the VFL over the weekend, but he was absolutely sensational. Many said he actually just took the piss with what he was doing out there on the ground. It would be really great to have him back in the side. It would be nice to have that defensive element added to our midfield alongside Luke Parker. Unfortunately, Will Phillips didn't play over the weekend. He probably would have been a really, really great person to have in the side. I think the defensive element of his game is so often missed when he's not there. I think the concern comes the other way when maybe he doesn't get enough of the football and doesn't get his hands on the footy enough. But if he is playing that true tagger role, then maybe he is someone we can consider to bring back. Matt Rouse had a really, really good start to the season. It could be worth bringing him back to cover him. This video will come out on Thursday morning. The team is released on Thursday night. I'm filming this on Wednesday as it stands. Hopefully Finn O'Sullivan will be okay to return as well. He obviously missed last week's game with the flu and with illness, so hopefully he is back in selection frame. I don't really know what else to say about this game, to be honest. We know that the Suns have been a new look threatening outfit in season 2025. We do know that we do have a fairly good run when we catch them away from home. And on the flip side, we have so much to play for. We really have so much to play for. We've got our honour, we've got respect to play for, and we need to respond. You've got to respond to keep the interest in the fans and to instill a little bit of hope and faith that while I think we all know we're on the right direction and we can't judge things off just one game and one performance like we had against the Swans, I think we're really going to have to see some scintillating football and some really exciting ball movement to renew and restore a little bit of faith in the North Melbourne faithful watching at home, because we have Carlton for Good Friday next week, and that is going to be a huge game, and the build-up is no doubt going to be enormous and something that we definitely want to be able to capitalise on and hopefully have a solid week and roll into a solid game. And there is no better time to start that preparation than this weekend at Gather Round, when all eyes are on Adelaide and South Australia and all the action happening over there. So I really think it is an opportunity for us to capitalise, an opportunity for us to just throw everything we have, like I said, at the Suns and play match-winning football. And if that's good enough, then hopefully bring the 4 points home back to Melbourne. What do you guys think ahead of this game? How are you feeling? How do you think we're going to go? Do you think North has what it takes to respond? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments below, or chat with me over on socials, Kanga TV Show on Instagram, X and Facebook. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning for the final word and hopefully a very happy review post-game. I'll see you then.